So welcome now, Sofia Goggia, Mikaela Shiffrin and Aleksander Aamodt Kilde, #1 in downhill, #1 in the overall World Cup and #1 in downhill and Super G. So many globes. Amazing. Thanks for being here. So Sofia, let's start with you. I would say you had a really impressive season with 6 World Cup victories, and you won the downhill World Cup even with missing many races. You are 5th in the Super G World Cup, and then you won the Super G, the silver medal, not the Super G, the silver medal at the Olympics in downhill. And I think this medal was more than impressive. You made the impossible possible. I think no one really expected you to be there, even at the race. And then you showed up and you made the medal. So now, a few months later, with a little distance, how would you say was the time between getting the diagnosis and then having the silver medal?
Yeah, for sure. It was really a crazy season, the craziest of my whole career. And I passed the first part of the season. I won 5 races in 17 days. And then with the crashes of Altemark and Cortina, it seems everything was already gone. And after Cortina, it was really, I had to face really a difficult moment. And I could not walk the day after. And if I ask myself, how could I make it at the Olympic Games with the condition in which I have been racing, I am still like speechless, but I'm glad I could make it. And it was really, really difficult to end up the season because I was skiing just on one leg. And I recognized this when I started to do the physiotherapy after the season, that I was really unable to do everything like a normal skip or little jumps. For me, it was something that I could not concept in my brain because I didn't have the patterns, because I lost everything. And I was really glad I achieved this incredible silver medal at the Olympic Games. But I still don't know how I made it, but important is that I achieved it.
But how did you deal with that mentally? Because of course there must have been doubts and moments of a lot of insecurity.
Yeah, I had like the day after I was kind of destroyed, also because I was supposed to be the flag bearer at the Olympic Games in Beijing. And but I knew I couldn't, I didn't know if I was going to make it to the Olympic or if I could make it to end up the season. But then after 2 days, when the doctor told me, I think that you can make it, then I believed 100% in his word. And even though it seems like it was impossible, I had in my mind always a kind of mindset in which I said, I will make it, I will make it. And I had no room for doubts. And this saved me. But at the same time, I had to face the fear for the first time in my career. And because I was not healed up, I knew I wasn't stable on my leg, and I knew I had to absorb the forces on a downhill course. And in China, there was a different snow, a new slope. Everything was really against me, but I was glad, and I'm still grateful, thinking back in the days, that I had this kind of faith, that I was like guided by a light inside of myself. And sometimes when we are with the shoulder at the wall, we find in ourselves a kind of strength that we don't use always, but we can find it when we are really, it's the strength of desperation, I think. And I was lucky I had it, and I'm happy I achieved what I did in the second part of the season.
And I think that's the point why you all are heroes, because you show just don't give up, just go for it and keep going, and then you make the impossible possible.
Yeah, but it was a big risk, because I was in a condition in which everyone could have pointed me the finger,
Yeah.
and say, okay, she can win, she can get second, or she can get a bronze, or she can go and crash, and that
course.
would have been obvious.
Yeah.
And I risked everything, but at the same time, for me, the Olympic Games is everything. And if we don't risk for the things we do believe in, then what is the value of the risk? What is the risk for us? And so I decided to compete, even though I was not in condition.
Perfect. But let's talk about now.
Yeah.
Sofia, how are you now?
I am fine. I had a good summer. I had to train a lot also because I had to recover from the injury. So I started really soon as after the season. And now we had 35 days in Ushuaia in Argentina. And I'm pretty much happy because it's the first time after the COVID era that we have been flown down. And I have been training a lot. In GS, I'm still not where I want to be, but luckily I have still some time to work on it. Instead, in speed, I'm pretty much happy and satisfied with the work we have been doing, also with the materials. We have developed a lot of stuff, and I think it's going to be interesting.
So could you do the whole workload? Was it possible for you to train, to ski without any compromises, let's say it like that?
Yeah, maybe at the beginning it was not so easy also on the glacier because I had to rebuild the pattern. And the first thing that I told to my coach, I said, it's easier to ski on two legs rather than one. But then I have to delete and erase from my brain the bad feelings which I had to deal in the second part of the season. And this took time also because the brain has a memory. But the more I got forward and the less this fear or this kind of thing was in my brain. And now I don't think about anything. I just go and I focus on the technical patterns.
Yeah, 5 weeks in Ushuaia, that's a pretty long time.
Oh.
And we heard that you were training with Dominic Paris.
Yes, we had. I was really lucky because I had the chance and the opportunity to come along with him and to have some days both in downhill and Super G together with him. And when you train with a man, it's always, I think, more challenging because also on the technical side, but more on the attitude that you have to put in the course because you see them. And I think that Mikaela can confirm that. And it was really interesting, and I think I really learned a lot, and I took advantage of these wonderful days.
So what's your opinion on that too, training with the guys? Because when you walk upstairs, there is the sentence you were saying, always be better, always be faster than the boys. Mikaela Shiffrin. So
yeah, no, I agree with Sophie. It's a different story. It's a intensity and precision, the attitude, the places where the men on average are trying to find a faster line, cutting off line, actually things that remind me of how you're skiing in speed too on the women's side. It's pushing boundaries that maybe you don't naturally think to push, but then you see the men are doing it and you think, oh, what's possible here? And helps to raise our level for sure.
Yeah. So you were just talking about GS a little bit, that you are not super happy at the moment with your GS, but are you going to race in Solden?
I don't think so, because in these days we're going to plan to be in Cervinia to train speed, and I better be well prepared for the downhill event that will be hosting Zermatt Cervinia on the 5th and on the 6th of November, rather than to have a half preparation, a bit of GS and a bit of speed. So I better be focused on my strength point. And in these days, I'm not going to be in Solden. That's the plan A. Then, as we all know, autumn is is really variable with the conditions, and so we have also to adapt ourselves with the forecast and the weather.
So if it just one time back to the Olympics, because when you left your ski with the post-it for Mikaela, I just thought, when I heard that, I was super happy, because I think it's just gorgeous. It's gorgeous because you just want to support. And I'm sure, Mikaela, you probably would have stepped into the ski room, and I bet you had a big smile on your face. So does that show somehow the connection, the great spirit in the Atomic team?
Yeah, but I think it's some spirit between certain athletes as well. And we have so many really incredible athletes on the circuit right now, but I think there's something, and the Olympic spirit in general, and after the performance that she put on at the Olympics, and it's just something that made the Olympic moment a little bit sweeter. I actually didn't see the skis until I was on the start. And I that was emotional to be standing there here she was with the silver medal and saying just one small thing that makes me feel just a little bit more excited for this. And that's better than anything, to just feel like a little bit more excited to race. That's so wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah, because Hopefully asked us if I could borrow her a pair with the old setup, because you were using the new setup, and you had a difficult path in the Olympic Games, and I said, okay, my mission is already accomplished. If I can help, then I will for sure. And so I think that having a team that support the athletes in this way can be an advantage for everyone. And I said, I'm flying home, and then you can fly in the downhill.
Oh, that's cool.
That's it.
Amazing. I think at that point, it's just important that everyone is taking a look at the big picture, the sports and the connection, like you just said. It's with the spirit of the Olympic Games. I think it was wonderful. So let's continue with you, Mika. It's always a big pleasure, because there's so many success. Okay, I'm the fourth time you won now the overall. You got second in the Slalom World Cup, third in the Giant Slalom World Cup, third in the Super G World Cup. And let me say, if you would do probably a lot more races in downhill, you would be there on top too. And you are breaking records over and over again. And last season in Schladming, you broke the record for the most World Cup victories in one event. And now you won 47 slalom races. Just let's compare it with Ingemar's Denmark. He has 40, so that's it's just awesome. And you celebrated 5 victories in the last season and 14 podiums. And I just keep going with Alex. Another globes, 2 globes in the downhill and in the Super G, and you celebrated 7 World Cup victories and 9 podiums, and you got the silver and the bronze medal at the Olympic Games in Beijing. So super successful. And I think especially these seasons or seasons like that are super intense too. So how was your summer? Did you have some time just to get away from skiing a bit, just to have time for the two of you?
We did.
Yeah. I don't think you ever fully get away from skiing, but I also don't think we want to. I mean, we have time away from skiing. We had a nice trip in Maui, and I visited Norway. He visited Colorado. So still full of training, and even on vacation, we're still training every day. But that's kind of more of a pleasure side of the sport. Like when you can do something that it requires effort, but you're doing it with someone you love to be with, and you feel a little bit more inspired. And that's something that he's definitely given me over the years. And we had a nice summer, some cool experiences as well.
And also just being athletes together, and also can share personal things together. We can also share experiences when it comes to skiing and training, and we can also train with each other, which is cool. And by doing that, I mean, of course, we can be normal people. We can go go to cinema, we can go out for a date or a drink or whatever, but we can also wake up the next day and go for training together and have sort of the same goal, which is really, really inspiring and cool. But we also try to, of course, get away from skiing a bit too. Unless it's not so easy always, which is fine.
You kind of live
good.
the sport even subconsciously. You're always thinking somehow about the sport, but we go, I mean, there's plenty of times when we're not skiing and then you can take a break. But it's just always like considering how is this going to affect me when I get back on my skis and
Yeah, you're both really successful, and when we take a look at your program, you are skiing all events. Alex, almost all events. He's just skipping some slalom. So the program you have, the program you have is huge. Even now in summer and in the fall, how hard is it to find some time off together? I think it's probably not easy to consider each other's schedules.
Yeah, it's challenging, but we know about it, and it's we've taken advantage of the days we get, like today and yesterday. That's like 1 or 2 days we get, and it's not many of them. So we gotta just
quality time.
Yeah, and it's not. It's even though we're working and we're here and we're having a good time, it's also possible to kind of just be around each other, and it's nice. Yeah.
And we can work together. Like we were in Chile and overlapping for a week and can train together and get the most out of the training, but also have some time together. It's just a good understanding of how the schedule works. So then if we could only spend time together when we had time off, then wouldn't get that much time.
Yeah. So there are just a couple of races where you have the same race destination, like in Sölden or Olympics, World Championships, and at the finals. And whenever you show up at the finals, for example, and Mikaela, she won the downhill, and then we have to, like at the finals, the same race course. So are you exchanging, of course, I guess, impressions or are you talking a lot after the inspection? How does that work? How is it to have Mikaela on site at the race?
It's a bonus. It's a huge bonus. Of course, we might choose different lines, but we can also share experiences of how it felt during the race. And also through inspection, we can kind of use our knowledge with each other. But of course, we're in our bubbles. We have our own routines, and we kind of want to stay a little bit away from each other too. We want to focus and not get in each other's heads too. So it's a fine balance, but
it's like small hello and then in Courchevel I think it was
can you please just leave me alone?
Small hello and then go away. No. Courchevel I think is like one turn that he said, it's probably pretty important for you to have your ski direction here, but see how it feels, because like for the men, most of the course, they're carrying quite a lot more speed than what we were. So that's also like a bit of a difference how it affects the line, and what maybe I was able to ski is different than what you were able to. But there's like 1 or 2 points where he said something and otherwise, it's really just saying like, hi, good luck. See you after the race.
And now your teams are a little connected, I would say, because your new serviceman, Robert Bürgler, he was working with you in the last season because your main serviceman, his brother, Thomas Bürgler, was injured, and your former head coach, Christian Mitte, is back at the Norwegian team, and his brother, Mark Mitte, is working with you now, Mikaela. So is there some kind of connection, or is it just a coincidence?
It wasn't purposeful. I mean,
it's quite a coincidence.
Kind of quite a coincidence.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Skiing is a small world.
It just sounds great. When I read it, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
It just shows that it's not many of the good people to choose from. So you have to choose the good people, and that's how it goes.
Yeah. Because Mark Mitte, he's the new assistant coach on your team, and Mike Day, your coach, got injured, so he wasn't with you at the summer camp.
He missed 2 summer camps.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how's the work? How's the collaboration work with Mark Mitte?
It's been good. He had to step into a role that's not so easy, working with a totally new team, new athlete, We had worked all together as a group for a few days in the springtime with some ski testing, but other than that, a totally new situation for him and for me. And he stepped into it. He looked at all of the different pieces that needed to be looked at, communicated with Mike every day. And our head coach on the women's team, PK, he also did amazing job to be supportive. So yeah, I mean, with Mike's injury, like, everybody came together really well to fill those gaps so that I could get the most productive days possible on snow and during the summer. And now Mike's going to be back. He's maybe going to be like limping around a little bit, but I think he's okay. He successfully put on a ski boot. So I think we're mostly in the clear to be back as a whole unit team for the first time in quite some time.
Yeah. And you have been working with Johan Strobel for quite a while time, I think with how many years?
4 years.
4 years, wow. Yeah. And you were really successful. Now you have a new service team with 2 technicians. Robert Bögler, he's doing slalom and GS, and Lukas Rottinger, he's at the speed events.
Yeah.
So why was it important for you to extend the service team to have 2 technicians?
Yeah, I mean, it's something we talked about for some time, but it's always a question really of resources and who's available. But over the last years, when I worked with Kim before Johan, and then of course with Johan, one of the biggest issues is always the schedule that we're doing, the amount that we train and the amount that we're traveling, and just in general, that there's no time for really anything. There's no time for them to take for themselves, but most importantly, there's no time for them to get back to the factory to check back in with the skis and grinding and everything that's necessary for care for the skis. So it means sometimes if we're training somewhere in Italy or somewhere in Switzerland or something, then they maybe have to drive 5 hours in the evening, work a full day at the factory, and then drive overnight in order to get back for training. And for the schedule I do, there's no option to take like 3 days off, because then we're racing again. Yeah. So it's been quite a lot of work, and I'm amazed at how Kim and Johan were able to manage. And over the last 4 years, Johan's been with me for my most successful seasons, which was, looking back on it, hard to imagine pushing like that ever in my life, but somehow we did it. So it's I'm thankful for this next step in the career, to have hopefully the possibility to train, more flexibility with training and racing, because I know that the service and the skis are taken care of. And yeah, Robbie, he has insane amount of experience in working with, Benny Reich and so many incredible athletes. And Lucas, I know he's prepares some very, very fast skis, and they're both just wonderful people to be around and spend time with. So it's been a very positive experience.
Yeah. Makes sense with a new team with 2 technicians. So Sofia, you work with Barbie quite a while now, and you're really successful. Is there some secret of success?
There's no secret. I think that I was also before Bobby, I was already successful, and I won the gold medal with Bruno. Okay. And then he decided to change his life, but I'm grateful for the work he have been doing. But Bobby has an incredible experience in downhill, and if I have to think that he was working with Deborah Compagnoni, I mean, he saw the evolution of skis in the last 3 decades, and he has an incredible love for downhill, and I think that this is the secret element of Bobby. But sometimes I get mad to him because the other discipline are not downhill. And so it's like, okay, I can understand for you downhill is everything, but also the other are as well is important. And I wish he could put the same effort also on the GS, but he does, but for him downhill is downhill. And it's like a mental illness for him, really.
What about slalom?
Slalom, he says he has the skis of slalom in the ski room just to to put the jack on. So this is his concept.
Oh my
This is the concept. And then he says,
I'm just gonna go.
wait, no, then he says,
I don't exist anymore.
I asked Johan to give me some pair of slalom skis from Mikaela, so you have a top gamma skis also in slalom, he says. And I said, thank you.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
Good.
But
So
Bobby,
Mikaela.
I don't get it. I don't like slalom either. I'm just kidding.
Well, we don't.
We like it though.
Yeah.
We're not saying
I'm
we
just
don't like
saying
it.
47. So slalom. So I don't believe it. Yeah. We like slalom. We're just not good in it. That's the point. No, Alex, you've been good in slalom in Peking.
Yeah,
I think
that was one run.
I'm sorry to say, but it was a little of a surprise that the slalom performance was so good.
For me too.
Yeah. So you were kind of mentor of Lucas Barton. We all know that. Did he play a role maybe with your slalom performance?
Just by watching the younger guys in slalom, that's kind of incredible. And it's been the slalom team in Norway now is better than ever. And I don't know, we have 4 winners or 5 winners in our team from last year. So just watching them ski, I mean, and that gives me a knowledge of how we can do it. Of course, you get an image of how you want to do it, and then you do it yourself, and you're just like, okay, it's not that easy. And the morning of the combined, I tried a little bit of slalom, and I skied the same course as Lucas and Atle and those boys, and I made probably 3 gates and I skied out, and I had no chance whatsoever. And then I just decided to try in the race, and I had Marco Schwartz like warm-up skis in the race.
Ah.
I don't know if you knew that, but I needed some skis that was not too stiff and not too aggressive. And then
Are we also with the post-it on? No.
Yeah. Well,
No.
I didn't know anything before I was on start. And I just went for it.
I was just kidding. So,
because you use his ski because yours were too new.
Yeah, it was too aggressive.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just went for it, and it felt really good.
It was really amazing.
Yeah. So, Alex, you turned 30 a couple of weeks ago, and with the retirement of Kjetil Jansrud, you're the most experienced athlete on the team. So did there change anything? Of course, you were the team leader, or was it always like that?
By being a part of a team with Axel and Kjetil for so many years, I've been able to see and learn and kind of gain experience of being around them. And the way they cope with different situations was just incredible for me to watch and to learn from. And I've always, of course, built my own path, but it's been having that knowledge from the bottom has made me to the athlete I am today. And I now have some success, and that makes me sort of a leader somehow. And for me, I'm just trying to be a good role model. I'm doing my work, and winning races is what we aim for. And having such a great team around you with young guys that's pushing every day with Lucas and Atle and all of the other boys, then it's fun to be the guy that's sort of the leader with most experience.
I think that just sounds promising for everyone, because you're there with experience, super successful, and on the other hand, the young guys with coming up with a lot of new ideas and inputs.
Yeah, it's a good combination. I think it's both good for them that I am there with some experience, but it's also good for me that they come in with new thoughts and the way to ski and how they ski slalom and how they do kind of technical, brilliant skiing. Yeah, that's good for me too.
So last year, of course, it was comeback season for you. So GS was probably not the most important event at the beginning, but at the end, at the finals, you made the fastest time in the second run. So what about GS this season? Is this time the fastest time in the second run somehow indication for the upcoming race?
It shows that I got the speed still. But of course, also Sutherland is a challenging start. I have had more focus into speed because it's before last season. I didn't really have time to test much equipment. I didn't have time to really get into the preparations of the season. So now I've used more time on downhill and Super G than GS. So we'll see. I will be on start in Sölden if I am fast. And so if you don't see me on start, I'm not fast.
It sounds like you're happy with the preparation on all 3 events.
Yeah, it's been
main
good.
focus on the speed events, but
yeah, main focus definitely on downhill and Super G.
Yeah.
But I did some days with GS, and it's always fun. I love training GS because I think it's the one discipline that shows the technical parts of the sport, which we need, I think, to be able to ski a fast downhill turn too. And now the downhills are getting more turny. It's more power in the equipment. You need to be able to handle it in a technical good way, or else you're going to be struggling. So for me, GS will always be there, no matter if I'm racing or not.
yeah. So Mikaela, what about your preparation, your program for the season? Are you going to do? I'm asking you actually this question, I think, every year. Are you going to show up sometimes at the downhills? Are you going to challenge Sofia, for example, in the downhill?
I don't think someone can challenge Sofia. But I think it's maybe more Super G than I did last year. Sometimes there's certain races where if you want to really have a good chance on the Super G, it's quite important to do the downhill as well. But downhill, of course, takes more time, more days, more effort. So then it's less training for other events. So we pick and choose which downhills is possible. But I think I would like to bring more Super Gs into the schedule again. And that's something that brings me a lot of joy to ski Super G. And as long as my Slalom and GS feel like they're on point, then we can try that out. But I'm not going to be in Zermatt, just in case that was something you're going to ask.
No, because I'm not asking. So.
No, I'm just going to watch.
No, I was asking all the athletes here about their goals. They're not super happy with the question about the goals. And I think it's hard to ask athletes about the goals if they're already the number 1. So of course you want to win as much as possible. But for example, Alex, I have to admit, I thought that you won already everything, but then they told me that there is a medal missing at the World Championships. So definitely. I bet that's probably a big goal.
Yeah, for sure. I have some revenge in me for the World Champs. I've been really close a couple of times. I think like 2 4th places and a 6th place from St. Moritz to 17. And honestly, I know it's just a race, but it's a more important race than anything else. And this year, if I'm in shape and performing well, then that medal would taste really good.
So don't eat it.
Well,
sorry.
I'm
sorry. That was weird.
It's like
awkward.
Yeah, and you 3 are everyone's going for the overall too. So and the World Championships. So there is quite a lot to do. And for Mikaela, for you, there is probably one record. Are you aiming for the record? Of course you do. Winning the most World Cup races. There's just 12 left. I would say normally if I say winning 12 races, that's a lot, but you already won 74, so it doesn't sound that much anymore.
If you look at it like that, but that's a little bit, that's kind of maybe oversimplification, because even after 74, is that what you said?
Yeah, you have 74.
Even after that, it's like one race feels like a lot. Yeah. So 12 still feels like a large mountain to climb for sure, but I think it's step by step or race by race. And if I just focus on what's coming in the next couple of weeks and then keep going from there, then we'll see. I mean, the truth is I'm not going to say no to it. Like if that time comes and I'm there, I won't be sad about it, but it's not something I would say, like if you have a checklist of goals you want to achieve before you retire. That's actually, I already my checklist is complete. Like if I had one, it would be complete. So somehow I feel like I still have something left to accomplish or faster skiing to do. So that's kind of why I'm here. And hopefully I can remember that when there's points in the season that feel stressful or pressure, that there's nothing that has to be done. It's just doing it because apparently I like it or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Sofia, okay, the goal for the season, but there are also the Olympics coming up in 2026 in Italy.
Yeah,
are you planning that far ahead, or
4 years? It's a long
Yeah.
time, but for sure it's going.
it's on your mind?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I cannot not think about it, but at the same time I'm taking really my life day by day, and if I have a wish also for the upcoming season, of course, to be as fast as I can be every day, but at the same time I really do wish to have a solid season and an healthy season, because since 2 years I'm just like skiing until January, and then something is always going to come. And so it's like in 2 seasons, I had 2 mid-season for 1 season. And so I really wish I can have the continuity to ski every day and to have a normal season. That for me is luxury, actually. So we'll see. And of course, I confirm what Alex said about the world champ. Also, because when people stops me in the street, they always rely on me saying she is the world champ, and I said I'm not world champ yet. I am Olympic champion, but I still haven't won the world championship. And so I'd like to get the gold medal, also because I have a silver, a bronze, and
Cool. So I hope the best for all of you. Many globes, many medals.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
cheering for you. It's a really big honor for me to have you sitting here. Amazing.
Thank
Great
you.
team. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, and we move on now with the skimo athletes, with ski mountaineering. And my next guests are ski mountaineering, but my next guests are Marco Schwarz, Manuel Feller, Daniel Zueck, and Roland Ritz. He's the ski mountaineering expert, and they're my guests because normally when we talk about the night race in Schladming, everyone is thinking about a slalom race, a really hard and tough, fascinating slalom race. But in this upcoming season, it's not just about going as fast as possible downhill, it's also being about fast uphill, because the World Cup for the ski mountaineering will take place in Schladming at the same place, and they have a night race too, and so we're going to talk about that. So I'm welcoming one athlete from ski mountaineering and 2 alpine athletes, and Roland Ritz. Welcome. So that's it. Thank you. Dankeschön.